Hi, this is Udi Rush from the Photography Show 2016 in the UK, and today we're with Affinity Photo. They just broke their window version, and we're here with Ashley Hewson, and he's going to walk us through what this software is about or what it can do. So Ashley, hi.
Hi.
I know that you've just doubled your market going into Windows. Mm-hmm. How are the Windows version and Mac version different?
So what at all? They're not going to be different at all. So in fact, you can see two versions here. This is actually the very early build of the Windows version. It's not entirely finished yet, but in effect, it's going to have exactly the same feature set as what we have on the Mac version. And in fact, it's going to look exactly the same as well.
How hard was it to rewrite the software for Windows?
Well, from the very start, we always had in our minds that we were going to make this available on multiple operating systems. We definitely wanted to do Mac first. That was kind of quite important to us. But as I say, when we were developing, we had in our mind we were going to do multiple operating systems. So that kind of meant that all of the fundamental technology behind what we've done is operating system independent. The core engine, so things like the graphics engine, the text engine, those types of things, can literally run on any operating system. We're not dependent on any libraries from Windows or from OS X. That's all independent. The thing that isn't independent on operating system is the UI, and that's about 20% of the product. So for us to port the Mac version onto Windows is taking about 20% of the time, if you like, is what it took to develop the Mac version. We're also planning an iOS version. I don't know if you guys have seen that, but we've just put out a very kind of like sneaky look on a Vimeo video, but we've actually now got it in the office running on an iPad Pro, and it's just amazing. So, I mean, the speed of the iPad Pro, and also the fact that the iPad Pro has got some like really cool hardware in it, it means that some of the stuff you can do on an iPad Pro is even faster than what you can do, let's say, with a Mac Pro.
So Ashley, one of the things that people say about Affinity is that it's really easy for image compositors and image manipulator to use. So I was wondering if you can show us a trick or two.
A couple of things that there's perhaps worth pointing out, which kind of makes Affinity unique compared with other software that you might use. I think maybe the first thing to show you is that we've got something called live filter layers. So let's say, for example, I do a Gaussian blur. I can in real time see the kind of results that I'm going to get. I'll make that a bit more blurry. It's non-destructive. I can turn it off, I can turn it on.
That's powerful.
It's really, really powerful. It's massively powerful. I can go back in, I can edit it. Of course, I can also actually notice here I've got an eraser brush and I get a nozzle preview, so you can see the area that I'm about to erase away from, and how in this case I'm erasing away the blur, so it becomes clear all of a sudden when I'm erasing away from it. And of course also, as well as using an eraser, for example, I can just pick up the gradient tool and I can add a gradient to this. And if I make that black at the bottom, because effectively this is a mask, if I make that black at the bottom, as you can see, as I drag this gradient out, that's adding a gradient mask to this Gaussian blur, and in real time I'm seeing how that impacts my image, and I can spin this around and I can adjust the midpoint of that gradient, and even after I've applied that kind of gradient mask, I can still double click on that, I can still adjust the amount of Gaussian that I've got on that image, so I just make it a bit more subtle, for example. So it's totally non-destructive. You can actually now work with filter effects in the same way that people are used to with adjustment layers, and it's a really, really powerful thing.
That's really nice. I know that one of the things a lot of people struggle with in Photoshop is selection. Mm-hmm. How does selection work in Affinity?
Well, actually, it's one of the things that we actually spent a huge amount of time on, selection, because it is one of the most important things, especially when you're creating composite type images. So if I say open up this example of this model,
hairs are always difficult.
They're always difficult, and in this example obviously it's particularly difficult because we've got a huge amount of hairs that are all kind of flying off the side of us. So if I pick up the selection brush, it's a pretty standard selection brush to start with, so I can just drag roughly around her and it kind of snaps roughly to the edge. But of course, it's not capturing any of these hairs.
And also on these hairs, you still get the background.
Exactly. So if I choose Refine at the top, and you can see the areas that it's missed and the areas that it's kind of got wrong. And literally all we need to do is brush on areas where we want the software to kind of have another look at it, really. So if I make, it's literally just a brush. If I make this brush a bit bigger, I can very roughly brush around all of these hairs here. And then it has another look at it. It's just analysing it now. It's working out what hairs it's missed, the background that it's got, what it shouldn't have done. And as you can see, immediately, it's actually done quite a good job. And in fact, at the moment, I'm in overlay mode. I can just flip this to black and white. And if I was to zoom in now, you can see it's made quite a good job now of even selecting individual strands of hair.
That's wonderful. I know that this has been a big issue for many Photoshop people.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I say, it was something that we spent a huge amount of time on, and I'm sure this is one of the best, if not the best, selection refinement engines that's out there. Yeah.
Ashley, one last question. So, what are the future plans for Affinity?
Well, the main future plans, we've already spoken about platforms, right? So we're going to have it on Windows, on iPad. So expanding on different platforms is a big thing. But I think the second thing is other products. So at the moment, we've launched Affinity Designer, Affinity Photo. The main missing link for us...
Designer is the equivalent of...
Illustrator, effectively.
Okay.
It's a vector design product. The missing link, really, in that in that product set is a publishing product. So desktop publishing or a layout product. So we plan to have the publishing product available from early next year.
That would be similar to InDesign?
Similar to InDesign, exactly. So that kind of gives the trio of photo editing, vector drawing, and desktop publishing. And the cool thing with Affinity is that all of those things will share file format. All of those products will share file format. At the moment, Affinity Photo and Affinity Designer already do, and even when we have Publisher available, they'll all share file format. So that's kind of the main focus. And then, in the future, we've kind of got thoughts of other products as well. We're certainly looking at a DAM product, so similar to, say, Aperture or Lightroom, and we've kind of spec'd that out. We haven't started writing it yet, but that might be something that comes along, I'm sure, in the next kind of couple of years.
Ashley, thank you very much.
Okay.
It's been a pleasure.
Yeah, absolutely. Great to speak to you as always. Thank you.
We need to launch the Photography Show 2016, and we'll be seeing you around.